Shalom and welcome. Today I'm going to be dealing with a very, very controversial subject, especially among those who tried their best to attack Torah in general, Tanakh in general. They will point to a lot of passages where in Torah, Elohim, God, commands the Israelites to commit, according to these people that are not reading or studied in Torah, genocide or wiping out communities or towns or lands, taking over in such a brute way. And it's painting the Torah with a broad stroke of just, this is horrible. I mean, what kind of a God are you following? I mean, he can, in general, the real problem is that none of these people are studying Torah in context. They don't care about what the situation is. They don't care about what the people were actually doing in those lands, the sins they were committing. And also, another important factor is that they don't care about the context where it actually states, give them the opportunity to repent of whatever wickedness, because they were all doing abominations in the eyes of Yehovah, of God. They were committing acts of abominations beyond imagination. Burning their children in the fire, killing virgins. I mean, all pagan nations were doing the most abominable human sacrifices and things that I won't even mention in this video that are just beyond. I mean, you wouldn't even, in today's world, as sick as this world is today, the things that were being done at that time were just beyond belief. You would not believe what was going on, and it tells you what they were doing in the Torah. But of course, context is not important to a lot of people. They want to take one passage here and one passage there and say, look at how horrible this is. This is the God you worship. Someone who is learned in this, like myself and others, many of you who are watching who want to study carefully and know their Torah, will say, you know what? This is a problem. It's called study carefully. Study in context. If you don't, you're going to get in trouble. If you don't study Torah, you don't care about the Torah, anybody can pick up a holy book, or what they think is holy, and pick a passage here and pick a passage there and make it say whatever they want. But it takes a bigger person to actually study every day in context and want to know what the situation is. Why Elohim says to do this, A, B, and C. Well, let's stick to the topic of warfare. Is it really what it seems to be? This video is basically about conducting warfare in the Torah. Who created morals, first of all? Who created morals? Who decides what's right or wrong? Is it not Elohim? Is it possible to nicely conduct a warfare? Is it? Warfare is one of those topics where modern widespread morals are almost absurd to talk about when it comes to warfare. When you're at war, of course there is morality, in a lot of things, but human beings do not deal with morality with war. It's usually attack or go after the nation that they're going against. And there is no limits to the war or things that need to be done. But how does that differentiate with the Torah itself? How does this man-made absurdity of morality collide with divine commandments in the Torah? What's the difference? In no other topics of political correctness collide so much with Torah correctness. This is what we're going to be dealing with head on here. I hope you enjoy. I hope this is helpful. I'm sorry for the statement that is too obvious for any sane adults, but because of the widespread acceptance of the absurd norms we have to do it. We got to do it together. As a reminder, any war is cruel. Any war is cruel. Brutal for all the involved parties, period. And cannot be made nice. No matter how many nice resolutions on this matter getting born in the parlors of the United Nations, for example. Another basic statement is this: we don't care about opinion of other people no matter how widespread it is. We only care about the will of Elohim, of God, as it is expressed in His Torah. This should be how we feel. For God is not human to change His mind, as He states in Malachi. If these statements are obvious, you can continue reading and listening to what I'm saying here of my presentation and understanding that This is the reality of warfare. So, let's keep going here. Rule number 1 in warfare, a moral preparation. We see in the Torah, it states, when you go out to war against other nations and come face to face with horses and war carriages, and armies greater in number than yourselves, have no fear of them. Why? For Yehovah your Elohim is with you, who took you up out of the land of Egypt. Number 1. Israel must get used, this is what we learn from this. Israel must get used to the fact that according to the divine providence, Israel will fight against larger and well-equipped armies. Number 2. Courage must be based on the trust of Elohim. Rule number 3. Trust in Elohim is based on the knowledge of the fact he is real. Period. If he's not real, who are you trusting in? It is him who in the past brought our ancestors from Egypt's slavery. Kohanim come forward to encourage Israelite fighters even more. It says in the Torah, today you are going forward to fight. Let your heart be strong. Do not let uncontrolled fear overcome you. Why? Again, because of those who are against you, for Yehovah your Elohim goes with you, fighting for you to give you salvation from those who are against you. Rule number 2. Release from fighting all those who have unfulfilled immediate enjoyment of life. So here's where we come with the justice that we don't find in humanity, that God gives in the Torah, which is never given credit to Elohim. It's always looked at as God is so cruel. He's just sending them out to just take over any land they want, take all the spoils, the booty, everything. That's not the context. When you read in context, he is a just God. He is not cruel. You just are not studying carefully. Like I always say, you got to study in context. Okay. Release from fighting all those who have unfulfilled immediate enjoyment of life, who built a house but did not live in it. They didn't live their life. Who planted a vineyard but did not taste its produce. Who has just married but has not yet been with his wife. In all these cases, Torah prohibits to put such a man in the front line so that he must try the result of his efforts and not make somebody else use the product of his labor. Justice for the individual preempts justice for the nation in war. And this is what we find in the Torah, which is not a typical man-made thing. Man doesn't do that. They don't care. If you're military age, you go to war, period. God says different in the Torah. So all those individuals who want to attack the Torah and say how cruel it is, how brutal our God is, just don't get it. They do not understand because they don't care. And I'm asking you to care. Read in context. Rule number 3. Release from fighting. Listen carefully. For those who claim that the God of the Hebrew Scriptures is a cruel God, which is so far from the truth, reality. Rule number 3. Release from fighting all those who feel fear of heart. I don't want to go to war. I'm scared to death. Says there in the Torah. Before he makes the hearts of his countrymen feeble. This is kind of extension to the rule number 1 I just mentioned earlier. Only courage in the ranks of Israel will bring the victory. Courage. So if you're fearful, you don't want to go to war, God says in the Torah, you don't have to. I'm not going to force you. So again, this is a merciless God that doesn't care. Painted as this nasty, angry God that just wants you to, tells Israel to do atrocities. So far from the truth. So far from the truth. And I stand by Elohim and what he says. Rules 1 and 3 that I stated earlier show that Israel must not be concerned with the number of its own fighters. Why do I say this? Nor the multitudes of its enemies. If the Israelite nation did not have enough men, and the nation they were going against were way more than them, they still have to go out with courage, knowing who is fighting with them. This takes great faith. This teaches us that it is not by multitudes that Israel is to win over its adversaries, but by strong spirit based on the commitment to serve God by warfare. This principle is highlighted in the book of Judges. The story of Gideon, whose army God commanded to be reduced. Listen carefully. He told them to reduce their army to 300 lepers, so that Israel did not contribute its victory to the multitude of the Israel army, but to divine help only. So even God said, you know what? No, you're not taking thousands of men. Take 300 men. Now I will show you that it is I who will do battle for you. You must believe in me. You can imagine how much courage that would take for you to take an army of 300 individuals going up against thousands. If God isn't real, you didn't believe in God. He's saying, nope. Even though you have thousands, you have 3 million people. At least 1 million individuals that could have went. Young men that could have went. He said, no, I want you to take 300 men and go to the battlefield. Let's see how much you trust in Elohim. Rule number 4. When you come to a town, in the Torah again it states, before attacking it, make an offer of peace. You see? Make an offer of peace. They don't just go into the land and say, you know what? Hello, we're the Israelites. We got God on our side. Let's just destroy you all. We're going to kill you all. Pillage your village. This is the stuff that we need to focus on, studying carefully. When you go before a town, meaning the town that they were supposed to go into, you are to make a peace offering with the nation. You don't just go in there and just take over. Now, who would write this in a book? This is not a man-made book. This is the book of Elohim. So again, those who bash the Torah and bash our God, Elohim, meaning you and me, we worship the same Elohim that you're watching right now. We know how bad the Elohim of this Torah is bashed by atheists and many who don't believe in God. As a bad guy, he's a maniac, a mass murderer, genocide after genocide. It's not true.